Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Joe and I just returned from a 3-day marriage retreat. All right, so it wasn't really a marriage retreat, it was actually a 3-day intensive counseling session with our counselor that we've been working with for over 6 months. And as you guys know, because I am pretty transparent and I've shared with you before, marriage has not been easy for us. We got married in high school, joined the military right away, started having babies, and we just learned how to do marriage like off the cuff. And so it hasn't been easy. But I will tell you guys, as hard as this 3-day intensive was, it was much needed. And it was a struggle to get through that emotionally and everything. And I didn't even finish unpacking when we got back. I just threw everything on this chair. So I need to finish hanging everything up, kind of just picking up and cleaning up and organizing. But I'm starting to feel a lot better. And most importantly, out of this whole experience with Joe, I am feeling encouraged and I'm feeling completely hopeful. There is something to be said for two people that are willing to put everything they have into their marriage, and they're willing to include God in that equation. And I'm telling you guys, I'm looking Satan dead in the face, and I'm telling him he cannot have my marriage. He cannot have my family. We are going to fight for this because we're worth it. With 2 cats and 1 dog in this small apartment, it is abundantly clear to me that I have to strip the beds and wash them more often than before. So that's what I'm doing today. It is time to get all these bad boys washed. Every day is a new day, and I think that Satan has been working double time, not only in my family, in my home, but in our country. So I just want to remind you guys, when you're hit with the storm, hunker down with those that are closest to you, hold on to them tightly, don't let them go, don't be discouraged, because every day is a new day, right? Every day the sun comes up again, and I feel like it's God's reminder that we get to start over no matter what happened the day before. We are working our way through the Good and the Beautiful's bird unit and having so much fun. So today they have me setting up these different stations for different kinds of birds so that Parker can see the way that they eat with their different beaks and bills. So he always has a blast when it's something hands-on, interactive learning like this. So doesn't require much from me, but to him, I'm the best mom in the world and I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, so the toucan's beak can be up to 7 inches long. So show me where 7 inches is at. Yeah, look at that. Look how big that beak is. Yeah, so the hinge of the jaw would be like right here. So you open it and close it. That's the same way the toucan does it, okay? You like my toucan sock? Yeah, okay. All right, let's go to our next station and learn about the next bird, okay?
Bye-bye, toucan.
A rhinoceros hornbill call sounds similar to a person trying a trumpet for the first time, like echoing or a vibrating squawk. So go ahead and pretend like you're a hornbill and make a squawking sound. Very good. Hey, you might be part bird. That sounds pretty good. Look at that. The sun's setting, guys and gals. We only have maybe an hour of light to see. I want you kids to remember this. The freedom of the United States depends upon we the people maintaining the rights and freedoms that are guaranteed in our Constitution. Knowing and understanding the Constitution, then, is the only way we can preserve those rights and freedoms. That is why it's so important for us to learn it. Yeah, that makes sense, James acknowledged. Thanks for explaining, Dad. Dad smiled. Benjamin yawned, which made James and then Martha and Roger yawn. We'd better get some sleep, Mom suggested. While Parker works on his U.S. Constitution bookmark, I'm just going to make a little list of what I need from the store for seeds, what I want for plants, just kind of thinking about what's going to grow easiest on the balcony. Just do a little brainstorming here. Thanks so much for hanging out with Parker and I this morning. It is just a regular day here in the apartment stead with the Watson family. We are doing school today as usual, right? It's Monday, and on Mondays we do science and history. Mondays are fun. They're kind of like our I look at it kind of like a lazy day, kind of like an easy day, because we're not like in the thick of like math and language arts. Like science and history to me is fun. And then as you guys know, we are trucking right along in our U.S. Constitution course that we started with the Good and the Beautiful. And I would tell you guys that there is no better time than the present to read that Constitution, understand it, know it, teach it to your children, because one of the things that we talked about today in history is that if you don't know what your rights are, how in the heck do you know they're being violated? Or how do you know when they're taken from you if you don't even know what your rights are, right? So that course so far, and we are only on like lesson 10 with that Constitution course, but we have already learned so much. It has been invaluable, not just for Parker, but for me. So in addition to school today, I'm going to take Parker to the store. As you guys know, here in the apartment, we don't obviously have like a big greenhouse. We don't have a hoop house, which are places that I typically start my seeds indoor at the beginning of the season to get a jump start on the growing season, right? Well, since we sold the homestead, obviously we don't have that here in the apartment. So I have a little idea that I'm going to use to create kind of a greenhouse effect so that I can get my seeds started here in the apartment. So they'll be germinated and ready to go outside on the patio garden that I shared with you guys here very soon in just a few weeks. So if you guys missed the video about the balcony patio garden that we set up, I'll link it here for you. We had a lot of fun with that. Just finding ways to use small spaces to still produce food for your family. It's very doable. So today we're going to start some seeds, and I am also working on deciding which seeds I want to purchase versus which plants I would like to purchase, because I'm not going to start all of my plants from seed this year. I'm just keeping it simple. We only have 7 months until we hit the road to head west to Alaska. So keeping it simple, but that's on the agenda for today. Really quickly, I did just want to address with you guys what's going on with Joe's religious exemption, or as they call it, religious accommodation request with the military branch that he serves in. I told you guys I would talk a little bit more about this in the future. I've had time to kind of woo-saw and kind of compose my thoughts and everything after we received his denial letter. The thing is, you guys, these denial letters are coming down to everybody fairly quickly now, all of a sudden after 6 months of not hearing a word about our requests that we put in as soon as the vaccine mandates came down the pipe. These denial letters are blanket denial letters. They are verbatim the same verbiage. They're templates, canned templates. They're just changing out the member's name. Some of them, they're just moving the paragraphs around a little bit here and there to make it look like it's authentic, when in all actuality, it's not. So policy states that all of these religious accommodation requests are supposed to be looked at individually, carefully, and with care, right? These are all individual people with individual religious beliefs and reasons for why they do not feel comfortable getting this COVID vaccine. But the problem is they're not reviewing these requests in that manner. It's kind of like it's a slap in the face. It was all a waste of time to even submit these requests because they're just doing blanket denials across the board. As I shared with you guys, we have a right to appeal this decision. We have a couple days left to get that appeal in, which we've already been working very hard to prepare. As if we don't have enough going on in our lives, right? We've got to sit down for hours on end and work on paperwork and memo templates to submit this appeal to the denial that he received last week. We will appeal. That is our right to appeal. We are doing that. We have also reached out to Liberty Counsel, and we are also going to be filing an equal opportunity complaint because we strongly feel that our religious beliefs, our religious rights are being violated. I'm not going to go into detail on this video about why we as a family have chosen not to get this vaccine. You guys, most of you that have been around for a while, you know my thoughts on this. The two main points, and I won't go into detail on them, is the way that this vaccine was developed is unethical. The taking of innocent lives was used in the development of this vaccine, and we cannot partake in that. And that is a fact. That's not something that I'm making up. We cannot partake in that. If you go with somebody that robs the bank and you assist them in robbing that bank, you are still just as guilty as that person, okay? And that's how we feel about this. If we partake in this vaccine, that is like us agreeing and condoning and enabling the way that it was developed. And our religious beliefs and our holy Bible that we read, God's word, tells us that the way that that was done is a sin, and it's a sin that God does not stand for. He is disgusted with anybody. He even says in the Bible, anybody that hurts any of these little children, it's better for you to tie a millstone around your neck and throw yourself into the ocean than to face me. He has no place for people that hurt innocent children. So that is one reason. The other reason is that our body is a holy temple of Jesus Christ. The Lord tells us our body is his temple. I don't own this body. This is the Lord's body. I am to protect it. I am to safeguard it with the utmost care. So I understand. I've had a lot of people that have said to me, oh, I got it and I didn't have any side effects from it. I had no issues as of yet. That is wonderful. And I'm so happy to hear that. And I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. I've said this so many times, you guys. We support anybody that's decided to get this vaccination, and we just want to be respected for our choice not to get it. And for me personally and Joe and our family, we all just had COVID. For almost 3 weeks, we were down for the count with COVID, but we are still here. We recovered just fine. So for us, a virus with a 99.9% survival rate, this is not a vaccination that we feel we need. And especially when it goes against our religious and core beliefs, absolutely not. We will not compromise on that. I've had so many comments from viewers, and I appreciate everybody's opinion, especially those that truly care and just giving us your thoughts, even if you don't agree with the decision that our family has made. The ones that are hateful and absolutely ridiculous, you guys know how I respond to that. Delete, block, delete, block. But the majority has not been like that. It's been people that have truly said, hey, Tina, we're praying for your family. We're praying for Joe. But then also trying to convince me to change my mind, trying to convince me to convince my husband to get this one last shot, right? Because with the military, we were required to get many shots when we joined and went through boot camp. So people are like, well, why is this one any different? And I've talked about this before too. This one is very different because of the way that it was developed, which is what I just expressed to you guys. The rush to market, the lack of data, the lack of runtime with this to ensure safety and efficacy is a serious concern for us, which was not the case with previous immunizations that we were required to get in the military. So I always find myself starting to explain again why we feel the way we do, and I'm going to stop myself there because the bottom line is, you guys, and period, point blank, we don't have to explain why we made this decision. We don't have to explain how we came to this conclusion for our family. We just did. And what's insane to me is people think, oh, well, you're in the military, you don't get to have a voice, you're owned. No, I want to remind you, especially if you're someone out there that's in the same boat that we're in right now, the US Constitution was written by our founding fathers so wonderfully. I mean, it is an incredible document. And remember, our founding fathers came over here from England. The original 13 colonies, they came over here to escape tyranny, to escape this king that was imposing ridiculous things on them, to include not having the right to practice their religion that they wanted to practice. They came over here in pursuit of freedom. And out of that came our US Constitution. And I want to remind you that the First Amendment protects our religious beliefs and our religious practices, and it's not to be infringed upon at all. And our religious beliefs and our religious rights are being infringed upon right now. And some people say, well, you're in the military, you're owned, you don't have a voice. No, nowhere in the Constitution does it say these rights are for everybody in the United States of America unless you're in the military. There is no clause, there is no caveat that discounts military members, that says they don't benefit from the same rights and freedoms that everybody else in the country does. That is not there. So we still have a right to our religion and our beliefs and our practices, and to practice them freely. And right now, we are not being afforded that right. So to me, even submitting this exemption request is ridiculous, because we're asking for permission to practice our beliefs and our religion and to uphold our conscience when the right is already there. It's already our freedom. It's already there. It's an unalienable right that has been given to us by God. And the founders of our country formed this in our U.S. Constitution, which is our governing document for our land. So it's insane to me, right, that we even had to submit this exemption. The right is already there. We shouldn't have to ask permission to exercise that right, but we're having to jump through these hoops, which, right or wrong, we have to do it. So we submitted it. It was denied. Now we have the right to appeal. But we do feel that our religious beliefs and our religious rights are being violated. They are not considering these individual requests with integrity. It is a blanket denial, as if they could care less what people's beliefs are, how much this violates their religious conscience and their values. And that is wrong. Even if you're somebody that has gotten this shot and you've experienced no side effects, that doesn't mean that the side effects aren't there for others. You can go to the CDC's website and you can look at the data for yourself. I would rather live in a cardboard box than try to encourage my husband to get a shot that, one, he doesn't need. Obviously, right? We just came through COVID. We're perfectly fine. And everybody knows it. You're vaccinated, unvaccinated, doesn't seem to matter. People are still contracting and spreading both ways. So why do we need this, right? So he doesn't need it. It is not necessary. Two, it could potentially risk his health or even kill him. That is the fear. And we're to protect our bodies as a holy temple of Christ. So as a woman, I'm fully aware of the influence that I have on my husband, right? You guys all know what I'm talking about, whether you're a man or a woman listening to this. As a woman, we have a significant influence over our husbands. Happy wife, happy life, like that thought, right? So I had somebody tell me to convince him to get this one last shot. Use my influence over him to convince him to get something that is against his values and conscience. I would never do such a thing that could risk my husband's health or life for the sake of money. Is this wrong what the military is doing? Absolutely, hands down, 100%. It's a complete injustice. My husband, along with me and so many other service members out there that have served, gave everything they had. They sacrificed birthdays and Christmases. They sacrificed births of their babies. They sacrificed being present when a family member was passing away. They sacrificed day in and day out to fight for everybody else's freedoms. And now they're being thrown away like a piece of trash because they won't bow to ridiculous mandates that make no sense. That is wrong. The Lord says the root of all evil is money. And we can see that all around us in this country. Everybody cares about money. That's all they care about is money, fame, popularity. It's absolutely despicable. So pardon my language, but I'll be damned if I'm going to put my husband's health or possibly his life at risk for a pension from the U.S. military. The Lord has always made a way for us, and we will make it no matter what. Do we want his pension? Does he deserve that? Absolutely. That's why we're appealing. That's why we're fighting for him, because he deserves this 7 months from his retirement. That's what makes it so much more bitter and hurts so much more, is that we are so close. And I had a long talk with Joe the other day about this, and he's been a little depressed. It's affecting him, obviously, right? And you guys, he actually teared up and said, I just wanted to make it, Tina. I just wanted to get there. I just wanted to make it, right? Like, to me, Joe is an average Joe. Joe's not someone that's going to go try out for American Idol. Joe's not someone that's going to go invent something or be a crazy scientist that comes up with a magical cure. Like, Joe is just an average Joe. He just wants to work his job and come home and love his family. But I look at him and I look at his life, and to me, his extraordinary was the military. His extraordinary was joining straight out of high school and devoting his entire life to serving in the Army and the Coast Guard, deployed to Iraq. I mean, all the things. That was his extraordinary, and it is extraordinary. So for him to come so close to retirement and be at risk of losing that is absolutely devastating. So we will fight until the very last day if we have to try to get what he so rightly deserves. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to it, we will not give in. We will not comply, because we do not comply with tyranny. And that's exactly what this is. It is our right to practice our religion and to listen to our God and to listen to our holy Bible and what the scripture tells us. So it is wrong what they're doing, not only to Joe, but all the service members and other people in the country, like the healthcare workers and everybody that's suffering from these mandates that don't make sense. I think about John the Baptist and how, I can't remember the king's name, but the king wanted him dead because John the Baptist would call you out on your sin, right? I'm sitting by the back door because this is the only natural light that I have in the apartment. And yes, our bikes are in the living room because we have no storage. So whenever we go on bike rides, we take them out of the back of the truck. And when we come in, a lot of times we just put them right in the apartment. It's wonderful. But anyway, John the Baptist would call people out on their sin, and the king did not like that. The king was committing an adultery by sleeping with his brother's wife, and John the Baptist called him out about it. So not only did the king not like John, but this woman didn't like John, right? Because he was calling them out for their sin in front of people. She wanted him dead. The king wanted him dead too, but he was afraid to kill John the Baptist because everybody loved John the Baptist. So the king was afraid of the uprising from the people in the town because of how much they loved him. Well, she also wanted him dead. So during a celebration, through her daughter, the king said, "What do you want? Tell me anything you want, and I'm going to give it to you." And so the daughter went to her mother and said, the king said, like, "I can have anything I want." And what did the woman say? She said, "I want John the Baptist's head on a platter." So the king had his men go murder John the Baptist and bring his head back on a platter. I think of the influence that a woman has over a man, and I think of that story and so many others, right? But I think of that story, even though the king wanted him dead, the king up to that point had, withheld from killing him. But because she had influence on him and she wanted him dead too, the king wanted to please her. So he went and had John murdered. So as women, as wives, girlfriends, whatever, we have a very strong influence over our men, our husbands. I believe that. Obviously the man is supposed to be the leader of the home and all the things, but y'all know where I'm going with that. Women, we know, like when we want something, we know how to get it, right? So I will not use my influence with Joe to talk him into getting something that he doesn't want and that could be bad for him. Instead, I will use my influence with Joe so that when everybody else in the world is telling him, "Just go get it, man. Just go get the shot, man. Why is this the sword you're willing to die on, man? Just go get it, man. I mean, everybody else got it." When everybody else around him, all that noise is going on, I want to be the one voice in his mind that says, "You're right. What you're feeling is 100% spot on. That is your intuition. That's your gut. That is the voice of the Holy Spirit himself speaking to you." And we have to learn to quit caring what other people think about us. Like, if you're feeling that, it's for a reason. And especially if you have a relationship with God, he's speaking to you. So I will be the voice for Joe that says, "I am with you here. Going through this, I will not leave your side. I will lift you up when you feel weak. I will be here to help hold you up because you're making the right decision. I will stand by you and I will encourage you and support you." And if that means we sit on the laptop for hours at a time and I help him type up his appeal and we're researching and pulling info, and then that's what we do. I just wanted to speak to that a little bit today because I've gotten a lot of comments, and obviously this is kind of a crazy time. Being that we did get the denial letter, we have a short time to appeal it. But that's where we're at. We're going to fight this until the end. We're not going to give in. And I appreciate your opinions, you guys. I appreciate your point of view. I really do. But just remember, not everybody is like you. And that's what's so great about our country is we are all different and we all have the right to believe, think, feel the way we want. And for our family, this is the decision that we've made. I understand the military owes us a lot of money for retirement, right? For the rest of Joe's life, he was going to get a paycheck, potentially still will, hopefully. I understand that, but I am not going to go get a shot just to stick it to the military and make sure we get that money. No, I actually would rather take the other stance that if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And for our family, it's all about principle. So yeah, we're going into this, head on into it, and I'm not afraid, and neither is Joe. At the end of the day, God will make a way, even if we do get kicked out 7 months before his retirement and we lose that pension. God will provide for our family. I know he will. So anyway, Parker and I are going to get ready. We are going to go grab a couple things for my seeds for the patio garden, and I figured I would take you guys along with us, so let's get to it. So grateful that Ollie goes to the bathroom quickly. But we do take them. We have been doing a lot of hiking. We found a beautiful trail not too far from the apartment. They've got a nice little restaurant, so we went out there and had some seafood for lunch one day, and then we went on this beautiful trail with Parker and Ollie. So even though he doesn't get much exercise while at the apartment, we're very on purpose about taking him out so that he can get out all that energy. So just listening to the radio while we were driving, and I think it's so funny because all of a sudden, you know, the focus is shifting to other things worldwide and all of that. So all of a sudden you're hearing terms like the endemic, right? We're no longer in the pandemic, we're in the endemic. So CDC's come out with some new guidance, and they're saying on the radio, they're like, you no longer have to wear your masks, you no longer have to social distance, you no longer have to worry about big gatherings, you no longer this and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I just think it is so funny because I never worried about any of that. I lived my life the last 2 years in Corona land, didn't even get it until just a couple weeks ago. I didn't stop living my life because of it. And I know a lot of you are the same way that I am. I thought it was hilarious when Fauci would say things like, oh, I don't think you guys are going to be able to do Christmas this year. I'm like, who are you? Like, you are not my daddy, Mr. Fauci. Like, I will have Thanksgiving with my family, as many family members as I please. Like, where do they get off thinking that they have this kind of authority over us? It's just ridiculous. So all these people are celebrating that they get to like start seeing their family again. And I'm like, what in the world have you guys been doing for 2 years? This is no different than any other flu or virus or sickness that has impacted our world. Like, we cannot live in a bubble. We have to live our lives and not live our lives in fear.
What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word. Maybe the sun will spread your joy to the ones who lost their hope.
As usual, I have enlisted the help of Joe. He just got home from work, poor Joe, and he's gonna help me just fill up my little mini greenhouses. We don't have a porch or a garage anymore really, so we do everything on the back of our tailgate of our truck. So I am not your typical gardener. I don't do the finger holes and an inch down. I just do simple rows, very shallow. And then I do like to label all of my rows because every year it never fails. I tell myself I'm gonna remember what I planted where, and I always forget, right? So I'm gonna label them this time so that I don't forget what I planted. These little cooking tins are perfect for starting your seeds indoor if you don't have a greenhouse or something like that. You can go on Amazon and buy these, but you guys, I got these at the Dollar Tree for $1, so don't overthink it. I put all my seeds down in these rows. I actually put a lot in there, as you can see. And what I do is once they germinate and they start to grow, I just go back through and snip all the ones that are kind of weak looking, don't really look like they're strong, and that way all I'm left with is the strongest plants to put in the garden. When I cover my seeds, I barely cover them. Like you can still see the seeds through the soil. And that's just what I like to do. If you bury them too deep, they'll have a hard time germinating. I'm going to give them a little bit of water, and then we're going to cover them with our quote-unquote greenhouse plastic, and we're going to set these on the counter for tonight. And tomorrow, when the sun comes out and it starts to warm up, I'm going to set them outside and let them start working. We still have quite a bit of work left to do on the balcony garden, but I think this is a great start. I'm really excited to sit out here with my coffee and already see some cute little plants growing. It's early in the season, so I'll have to finish filling the rest of the planter boxes on another day, but I wanted to remind you guys that everything works for good for those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Remember Romans 8:28 whenever you're in doubt. Look at these little greenhouse boxes already working. The soil is warm, the sun is shining. Thanks for joining me, my friends, and I'll see you very soon on the next video.